Hello, everybody. It is so nice to be presenting to you. I am happy to be here. My name is Tori Schlotzauer. I am your St. Louis regional, and I do live here in St. Louis for you. I get the opportunity to travel back and forth to campus in Columbia, Missouri, and I'm presenting on the University of Missouri, also known as Mizzou. So I will probably use those two names interchangeably tonight. I do want to go ahead and get started for you so you do not have too terribly long of a video to watch. But if I do miss anything that you're interested in or do not touch on, I am going to give my contact information as well as the Office of Admissions contact information in case you would like both at the very end of this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And of course, I'm going to talk about where are we located. For any of my families that have not had the opportunity to visit, or if it's been a while, if you've been to campus, just in general, I want to make sure that we talk about where are we. So Mizzou, or just again, the University of Missouri and in the essence, we are located in Columbia, Missouri, also known as Como for short. We are in probably, in my opinion, the best geographical location, the middle of the middle. So right in between Kansas City and St. Louis, Missouri, about an hour and a half, maybe a 2-hour drive from this area here in the Kirkwood, West County location. So not too far from home, but far enough to give that general consensus. We are that quintessential college town. So we have probably, those things to do. So we have shopping, we have places to eat, places to hang out. But we have that more of that community, that family feel to the town itself. I do like to tell students that you can get around without a car. Probably one of the most popular questions I get is, do I need to bring one? Can I bring one later? Is there parking? Yes to all of those. So you're more than welcome to bring a car. You will make friends very quickly if you do. If you don't want to make friends, just don't tell them you have a car. Or you're more than welcome to bring one later in the semester, or even, the next year or two, or not at all. We're a very accessible campus, and I like to think a city as a whole as well. In fact, this picture right here is actually a nighttime picture of downtown Columbia. So this street that's more lit up right here is Broadway. That's one of our more popular streets of downtown. Conveniently, we're connected as a campus to downtown. So we share 2 other smaller colleges here in Columbia, Missouri. And so I think what's really convenient is that it's not just Mizzou students. And so you do get more, I said that earlier, community feel. There's more shops and restaurants. So if you're not feeling like being a student, it's really nice to just walk off of campus and, kind of get outside of that. It could be comfort zone. It could just be getting to know the community as a whole. Maybe you're looking for that part-time job, whether that is on campus or again, off campus. For myself, I loved studying off campus. I loved going to Lakota Coffee Shop. That's one of my favorite coffee shops off campus. There's also places that host different events and activities. There's some really popular events in March that we have. True False Film Festival. We get thousands of people that come back for that festival. There's another one in the fall that comes up that's really popular for students and people alike. And then, of course, there's just different venues and places to check out. If you're more of a biker, hiker, or trail walker or runner, we have some beautiful trails and parks for students and families here in the Columbia area. So there's a lot of ways to explore outside of just campus life in general. So I love to point out those places. If you need or would like recommendations on, like I said, it could be shopping to restaurants, places to stay, please let myself know. I love giving those recommendations for students and families. Or if, like I said, you've been to Columbia and you want to go back to a place, please check it out again. It's nice to go and support those businesses as well. Narrowing it down to the university, I love to tell families, the University for Missouri. So total enrollment is just over 31,000 students. And when I say total enrollment, this does include our undergraduate students, our graduate students, transfer students, online students, as well as our professional students. We're very fortunate. We actually are one of 9 public institutions that has a law, a vet, and a med school on one campus. So that's probably something that is more unique about us, and really how we tie in students coming from all over the state of Missouri, all 50 states, and more than 110 countries. So it's not just students coming from St. Louis. I think that's probably a big misconception. When I talk to my students from St. Louis, they're like, oh, I'm going to see just St. Louis there, just Kirkwood families. And that is simply not true. I think what's really unique is that, Mizzou is really like a city within a city. And it's really fun to get to know all over the world is on campus, different cultures, different backgrounds. And there's some really fun events and activities that really incorporate that. And then I like to describe us as that university for Missouri. And I know that may sound or come off a little cheesy, but the reason is we were founded as a land grant institution, so that flagship institution for the state of Missouri. So we do want to try to, provide that quality and affordable higher education for the state. And when we say quality, we are a part of the AAU, that is the Association of American Institutions. And so we are a research institution, and I'm going to touch on this actually a little bit later. But what this means is we want to be quality higher education and as affordable as possible. So if you're looking at this from maybe a financial perspective, this is probably the best shopping you'll ever do. We do know this is a big investment, not just financially, but I mean, let's look at this from the perspective of at least 4 years of your life. This is a big investment. So this is probably something that we want to point out to you. Some states have their flagship institution and then their research institution. Well, we're both of those combined. So that's a really good deal. That's, again, I like to say, the best shopping you'll ever do. So again, I just like to kind of give that visual of where are students coming from. So I myself, I'm a visual learner. So I love maps. I love charts and graphs. Anything you can point out, I'm all for it. If you notice that we have this map up here. So if you see these states that aren't, filled in, we are using gold because we love our black and gold here. We're using gold, but if you notice those states that are just white up here, they're not filled in with anything, we are still getting students from those areas. The darker gold, good job, Missouri, you're crushing it. We probably have currently about 65% of our students from the state of Missouri represented on campus. The rest are coming from those everywhere else. Like I said, all 50 states are represented, but the other states in the top 10 are from those darker gold states here. So you'll see Texas and Arkansas, Tennessee, Illinois, even the state of California. So we just like to point out, like, these are probably more of those students you'll notice on campus. Not to say that we don't have Rhode Island or Utah, those types of areas as well. But I just think that's unique. That's very different. We can probably agree students from California are not coming here for the weather. It's the programs. I think it's you as students on campus that are unique. It's not the weather, right? So I just like to point that out to you all as we, talk more about Mizzou. And then, of course, we have the best, the brightest here that are picking Mizzou. And really, if there's any point to brag, it would be now, right? So as you're going and choosing, what is the best place for you, I always like to and hope that you're picking places that have at least an interest, right? Maybe it's that major, it's that program, but as you're narrowing down those choices, maybe these are some of those things that are are setting us apart. So very bright students, even with COVID-19 limiting those access to testing, we've still maintained that average of 26 ACT, having even test optional students applying. I think that's impressive. A global economic footprint, what does this mean? Well, it has a lot to do with giving back. It has a lot to do with providing job opportunities, research. It has a lot of variables included in that. But we like to think that we're impacting not just on a let's say a community level or a state level. We're doing more to impact the world here. Now, admission requirements. Well, this is going to include multiple factors because I want to spend the most time probably on this process. This is the most important thing. Going into your senior year, this is probably the scariest concept is how do I get in? And I don't want you to think you shouldn't apply because you're nervous about it or not sure when you should. And more importantly, that's why I'm here. So this is what I want to spend the most time on. If you're applying for the fall of 2024, you will have hopefully two options. Currently for seniors, they have two options to apply to Mizzou. They can apply with their test score and they can apply as test optional. Now, because of COVID-19, we have been doing test optional as a pilot program. So that means each year we've had to vote if we can continue test optional. So at the end of each spring, we've had to vote on that process. So at the end of this spring, we will know if we can continue test optional for your class. So stay tuned if we get to continue that and what that's going to look like for you. So the last few years, the materials included for test optional hasn't changed. So I'm going to talk about that as if we would continue that process for you. Okay. And just stay tuned on our website because you can't apply yet until August 1st. So I don't want you to, again, to go, what do I do? Or freak out about that process because you're not going to be able to do that until August 1st. But I'm going to go through it. So just take a deep breath with me and we'll talk about it. Now, the first thing is we're going to take a look at these core classes. These are the big components of the application process. A lot of these are very similar to what you need to graduate from high school. Notice we've added a couple things here, this foreign language. We want to be selective. We want to say, hey, are you really interested in higher education? So that's where this selectivity comes into play here. So high school curriculum. If you see this word units, just note it means years, okay? So 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 of social studies, also known as history, 3 years of science, 2 years of the same foreign language, and we'll take your highest fine art. Now, a fine art, this could be band, this could be choir, maybe it's a specific art class. Those are some of the more common fine art classes, but we'll just take your highest fine art. So let's say you get 3 years, maybe it's an A in band, and then your 4th year, you get a B. We'll just take 1A, your highest grade there. Now, let's say you apply with a test score. So an ACT or an SAT, we do not have a preference on a standardized test score. Most commonly, we see an ACT score here in the state of Missouri. So it's probably something I'm going to continue to talk about first, but just keep in mind, we would take the equivalent for the SAT. So if you decide, I'm going to take an SAT for fun and you do better on that, send that in to us. Again, we don't have a preference. We just tend to see that ACT more. So we just talk about it more or we publish that first because of that. Now, if you have a 24 ACT and 1160 SAT, that's our starting point for admission. We really like to see those two scores first, along with your 17 core classes. And you need to be in what we call good academic standing, okay? You can't get those scores and have your 17 core classes, but be failing those core classes. You had to be showing up to school and be doing well. Okay. So if you have those are what we call assured admissions. So yay, good job. But maybe you took that ACT and you got let's say a 21 on the ACT. If you're doing better in high school and maybe you didn't test as well, you could still be admissible. We were going to take those core classes and recalculate your core GPA. That means that we're taking those core classes, we're taking away pluses, we're taking away minuses, and typically what happens is it looks slightly lower than your overall high school GPA because we're not looking at things like yearbook or weightlifting or typing, those types of extracurriculars. So it sometimes looks lower because of that reason. So let's say you get a 21 on that ACT, find that score, use that right-handed scale, slide it over. You need to have a 3.05 or higher for GPA. That's like a B student. So an A is a 4.0, a B 3.0, and so forth. Makes sense there? We will do a weighted core GPA if you take any AP or IB courses. So we can do a weighted core for that as well. So essentially, the lower the test score, the higher that core GPA will need to be for that admission purpose. And earlier I did mention, what is test optional? What are we looking for as a test optional school? Currently, this is what we're taking into consideration. So for us, we want to see, hey, that application, still looking at the fee there, but we also want to see extracurricular. So more about you there. What are you doing in school, but also outside of school? Are you doing anything as far as those clubs, sports, but any volunteering, any work experience? Do you, I don't know, take care of grandma? Are you not just volunteering, but it could be anything outside of the athletics, okay? Another good thing to keep in mind is your essay or essays. You can apply with the Common App, so you would pick one essay there, or our application currently has 2 short essays along with the extracurricular list. So it's the content, it's also the grammar, keep those up. And then of course, if you have questions on that application process, absolutely let us know. But I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is, what does that look like? As far as the timeline, as far as turning anything in, what does that look like? Well, I'll tell you. I mentioned earlier, we will open up the application starting August 1st of your senior year in high school. So if you're a junior right now this spring, and you'll be a senior starting this fall of 2023, you can apply starting August 1st of 2023. We will need the application. Again, it could be ours, it could be the common application. We do not have a preference. We'll also need the application fee of $55, your official high school transcript sent to our office, as well as the material. So if it's a test score, we'll need that test score sent from ACT, and we'll also need either that score or test optional material. So that includes, again, the essay or essays. So it can take us a few weeks to process, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to process that application. I typically encourage students to apply, honestly, by Halloween. That gives you plenty of time to turn in anything. It also gives you time to get ready for next steps, like scholarships, could be housing. It's also going to give you time to maybe talk to me if you have any questions about those next steps, or maybe it's about turning in any updated material as well. Now, if you do have questions about maybe submitting or sending any ACT information, our ACT code is 2382 that you see on the screen, also listed on our website, so you don't have to memorize any of that. But I think the hardest question on our application is, honestly, what do you want to do? What do you want to major in? I know I changed my major 4 times. On average, it's still 3 times at Mizzou. And to be honest, the fourth most popular major for incoming students is still undecided, or it's also known as exploring here at Mizzou. So do not be afraid to say you don't know. If you know what you want to major in, put that down. If you think you might change it later, that is okay as well. We have a lot to choose from, and I don't want that to be intimidating for anybody. The most helpful website that we have is what is called majors at missouri.edu. I will be honest, if I had that website as an incoming student, I probably wouldn't have changed mine as many times as I did. And I think the biggest reason why I chose Mizzou was because I wanted options, but more importantly, I wanted to be able to meet people and ask them, hey, why did you pick the major you picked? I loved meeting people and asking them that. And 9 times out of 10, they said, I don't know, I like math, or it was, I just had a feeling. And I think that is okay to say as well. So if you haven't yet already done so, feel free to come visit campus, come and see some facilities or meet with those current students. I think that is a big reason why I also ended up choosing Mizzou myself, was that visit really helped me go, wow, like I can see myself in these areas. And to be fair, is going in and seeing those classrooms, it also helped me, I think, calm down. It was hard. I went to a very small high school. So I was a little intimidated at first to go, can I go to a large campus? Um, that's very hard, I think, to grasp, to go, wow, I don't think I can go to all these big classes, and they're not going to want to get to know me, right? But believe it or not, that total enrollment number that I gave you earlier, 31,000 plus, do not let that scare you. That is a total enrollment number. Undergraduate students at Mizzou, that's around 24,000 students, which is still a pretty big number. Not all of those students are in your class, okay? Those are students that are attending as an undergraduate student, so seeking a bachelor's degree. Not all of them are in the same major. And yes, you will have some larger classes, and typically your freshman, maybe sophomore year. But as you get further into your major or interest, so again, I changed mine 4 times and I still had smaller and smaller classes every single year. This, again, the smaller your classes will become. Even though we're a larger campus, we still have an average class size of 32 students, an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio. All of our faculty are required to have what are called open office hours. So you can go in and ask questions, or maybe it's to go over a test. Honestly, I went in and I said, how do I take notes in your class? I thought I knew what note taking was in high school. And then I went to college and went, okay, I cannot just copy what's on the slide. I get it now. And to be fair, I realized, wow, their office hours are not convenient with my schedule. So I realized too, I needed to reach out and ask, hi, my name is Tori. Can you meet outside of your office hours? Does this day or time work for you? And 9 times out of 10, yeah, they could. So it was up to me or you as a student to ask for help. So I think that's another important factor, is that your professors want to meet with you and they want to help you. They just want you to be able to be that person and say, hey, I do need help, or this time doesn't work for me. But they're people too. They love to get to know you all. So I would highly encourage meet with them, get to know them. I think the secret to being an adult is to what I call network. So I always encourage students, if you are looking for those unique experiences, if you're looking to what I say network, think of what is called the Honors College. This is a great way to have some of those smaller classes right off the bat. Honors College is a separate application after you've applied to Mizzou. So they open up their application, I would say about mid-September during your senior year in high school until about March 1st. So it is a separate application, essay and resume. It's a holistic review. And they have a I like to say when we say unique experience. This is unique classes. They have events. They have honors college swag. They have like an honors week. I mean, there are some really cool things they're doing on the honors college. They have their own separate advisor along with your primary advisor as well. So you're not on your own picking out the honors college experience or events here. 9 times out of 10, again, these students typically enjoy having the early class registration. So this is that second semester that you're picking out your honors college classes, even before seniors get to. So this is that, elite status that you get as a student. There is an honors college hall on campus as well. So you have that option as a student that first year if you'd like. I think that's something fun to do. And of course, you have access to apply to honors scholarships for not just the first year, but as a returning student. So something to keep in mind. Honors college students, you have some of the more unique experiences for research opportunities. And I'll be honest, it's typically paid research, which is exciting. But you don't have to be an honors student to do research. And I think that's another distinction that should be made really in any incoming student. So any freshman, sophomore, junior, senior can do research on campus. And this is something I myself did not do. I wish I looked into it a little bit more, mostly because it actually looked fun. And the reason why I didn't, I'll be honest, I was so busy changing my major. Some days I was like, I feel like I can't commit to research if I can't decide on a major. So I decided not to do research myself. I had multiple friends involved and they had really good times with research. Some were published, some were in national competitions, won scholarship dollars. Some really just liked it for the experience to know if they really wanted to continue in a major. So research is just a great opportunity and you don't have to do it, but we have an office to help determine who's doing what. How do you get in contact? Is this right for you? Now, I mentioned the AAU. This is a membership that we're a part of. So there are 64 members a part of this. 34 public institutions were one of those. The other institution in the state of Missouri is Washington University. So it's a private institution. So you only have two here in the state of Missouri, which is really exciting. And all of our faculty are involved. So it's not just the STEM areas that are involved or have, again, those opportunities on campus. And it is something we like to encourage students to at least, look at. But if you want to do research in arts or business, journalism, music, even education, think about research. It looks good on a resume. It's a great way to get a mentor on campus. But again, if you are looking at testing out your major, you're going to have some type of hands-on learning because it's already incorporated into any degree program you choose. Believe it or not, we want you all to have this hands-on learning because it's been adopted throughout campus. Actually, in 1908, our world's first school of journalism coined the phrase Missouri method, this hands-on learning. And because it works, it's been adopted throughout campus. So really the biggest highlight of this is that you're going to be able to walk away going, I have experience. And for myself, I was able to go, wow, this wasn't what I thought. And a lot of that had to do with going, okay, cool. I like that instead. Most of it was classroom, and a lot of it had to do with meeting people, talking to professors. And again, a lot of my friends or professors that mentor really helped out with that hands-on learning. So even if I didn't realize it, and that's the beauty of that Missouri method. So you're going to hear that much more when you get to campus or before. Of course, there's a lot of support. When I'm at high school visits or even college fairs, sometimes students come up and they say, what support do you have? And I have to counteract that and counter question that and say, what support are you looking for? I sometimes start off with, well, we have your general support, academic support, social support, but I can't list every single one because there's a lot. And I'm glad we have a lot of support where I can't list every single one right off the bat. That's a good problem to have. To start off with academic support, we have a general student success center. And I say general because we have a main space on campus on what's called Lowry Mall, where you can go in for tutoring. There's amazing tutoring to get started with. Don't be ashamed or, scared to start off with some help. There's also the writing lab. That's my personal favorite to go to. Learned real quick. I apparently didn't know how to write in high school. There's also the Career Center. What better way to get more information about a part-time, full-time internship in Columbia, outside of Columbia, Missouri, across the country, the world? More importantly, that social support, I think it's just as, if not more important than academic support, because you're living and learning on campus, even off campus. And so these are probably the best social justice centers on our campus, if not the most asked about. And these in particular have their own space on campus as well. They also host their own events, activities. Some even have classrooms inside. And so a lot of professors, organizations utilize these spaces across campus. So if you're looking at that volunteering, maybe that part-time job, or just places to go to learn, to hang out, absolutely utilize these spaces. But if there are additional supports or centers or things that you're looking to learn into or you're not seeing and you have questions about, do not hesitate to reach out to myself or, of course, my office, and we'd be happy to point you in that direction. Of course, we have student groups on campus that we're more than happy to point out as well, because again, it's hard to know what to ask if you're not sure where to begin, which is why we like to bring these up. Now, where should you start off with? Earlier, I mentioned, when should you apply? Well, the reason why I said that is because we have those next steps. And one of those includes scholarship steps, dates, deadlines. What is that going to look like? Most importantly, when should you begin? Well, you could start thinking about scholarships, the money portion, as early as your senior year. If you're interested, you can begin the financial piece as early as October 1st. You're not required to file a free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, at Mizzou. We always encourage it, no matter what a family or student will say to us. I'm always going to say, yeah, do it, go for it. You can start that as early as October 1st. Our priority deadline for the FAFSA is January 7th. So if you're thinking of doing one, do it before then. That's our biggest recommendation. Another super duper important deadline is December 1st. That is our deadline for any competitive or general scholarship, and departmental scholarships are included in that as well. Departmental scholarships, that just means like for your major. So if you're like, I want to major in business, that's a department. So that's a school or college on our campus. That also includes anything like with the legacy scholarship, that's included for that too. If you're, let's say, deemed what's called a national merit semifinalist, and you're recognized as a finalist by, let's say, early, mid-May, that deadline is May 1st. And then I mentioned too, if you're applying to Mizzou and you're not happy with your test score, but more importantly, we have what are called automatic scholarships. So when you apply to Mizzou, we automatically review you for those automatic awards. You can retest for those throughout your senior year. So let's say you're a current junior, but you'll be a senior in August, and you can retest for you're applying for fall of 2024. So you graduate in that spring of 2024. So you can take that last ACT test date, July of 2024. Yay! I'm not saying take every single ACT or SAT until then. I'm saying be strategic. That is on you and your family to determine or ask myself, ask my office if that is something you should do to see where are you at, of course, for those automatic awards. Not just some fun things to talk about. We have amazing clubs, organizations. I think like most schools, we have some that are more major focused, academic focused, and then some that are just for fun. Everything from, ballroom dancing to bass fishing. Those are some fun ones to talk about. But we have those, academic focused as well. So specific to engineering or journalism. But I like to encourage students, go check out those speakers or performers on campus, specific events that we host on campus for you. Like I said, we are in Columbia, Missouri. We're in a very convenient location geographically. So we're right there in between St. Louis and Kansas City. We have a lot of speakers and performers that stop there for you all because it's just convenient location wise. I always tell students when I say like for like a discount or anything along those lines, it's typically no more than maybe $20, maybe two. Like it's awesome. So I encourage it. More importantly, utilize that rec complex. It is gorgeous. It's one thing I miss as a student. I'll be honest, I try to use it every day or at least every other, but I've never actually worked out in the rec. Probably should have. I use that. If you see that top right picture, the Tiger Grotto, it's one of the pools. That's where I was. There is a lazy river, a whirlpool, 12-person hot tub, steam room, sauna, a beach entry, a walk entry. Yeah, that's where Tori was when she was on campus. It is beautiful there. So as my friends were working out, making progress, I just hung out there, waited for them. But there is something for everybody, let me tell you. And I just like to encourage you all, find that something that works for you. Because, college is stressful, and this is a great way to release that stress. There's always a way to seek out that adventure. One of those ways is to study abroad. And especially as a junior, I think this is probably one of the most fun ways. And one of the most common questions I get as a rep. We have study abroad, and you are going abroad. So that means you're leaving the country. And we go to places that are, I think, the most common, I guess. So like European trips, we do go to some African trips, South America. Unofficial mottos is if it's safe, we'll send you. It's an official motto. But we have trips that are a week long to 3 weeks to a couple months, 6 months, a year, depending on who's hosting that trip. We have an Office of Service Learning that has abroad trips, and they also host what are called Mizzou alternative breaks. So alternative breaks, we are very fortunate. Those are the domestic trips where you're service learning. And we actually host the largest alternative breaks program in the entire country. So if you're not ready to, let's say, study abroad, but you definitely want to travel, you can do those trips in its place. So every September, I know they have a study abroad fair. So similar to, instead of, let's say, a college fair, you could do the study abroad fair at Mizzou when you get to campus. So they talk a little bit more about how do you finance this? How do you determine which trip is best for you? More importantly, you should meet with your advisor before you get to campus and start talking about that. I myself, I did a study abroad, and I wish I did a second one at least. It's amazing. This is a great way to see the world. It's hard to do that once you graduate. So highly encourage that as an option. You do have to live at Mizzou at least your first semester before you can start that study abroad. You can do that as early as your second semester. But let's talk about living at Mizzou. This is another question: is what is it like? What are the requirements? When does it start? So you do live at Mizzou for that first year. After that, it's up to you. We do have returners on campus, and I think it's a great option. We have 23 halls on campus. Currently, 2 of those halls are all female. All the rest are co-ed, depending on their structure, essentially. So with the halls comes great responsibility. One of the halls is named responsibility. That's why, okay, it was a Sad joke, I guess. But basically, popular options for these include 70% are what we call community style. It's sometimes known as traditional, but we call it community. This is with you and a roommate, and you live together in a room, and then down the hall, you share a bathroom with about, it could be 15, maybe 20 other students. Again, it depends on the structure of the hall. And then the other option, the other 30% of the rooms are what we call suite style. There are fewer of these, and statistically, students actually prefer the community style. One, it's financially feasible, and then two, they actually make friends quicker in that one. So that's a big reason why. But that is something to note. I'm highly, highly, highly encouraging you all. Check out housing.missouri.edu. If you haven't already done so or been to campus on that general tour, check it out because there are virtual tours of most of the halls. They're still finishing up a few of those options there, but the virtual tours are really important. We can't tour every single hall for you because we have students living in them. And in the summer, we actually have summer programs and orientations going on. So we can't have you tour every single hall for that reason. So we are, and if we haven't yet finished those, we have those virtual tours for that reason as well. But that's really important to start that process sooner rather than later. Housing will begin in rounds, and there's round 1 on December 1st, and it ends typically February 1st of your senior year in high school. Now, there's also dining included in the housing process. So dining at Mizzou, it's yummy. So if you all haven't heard of the joke, when you go to college, you gain what's called the freshman 15. Well, at Mizzou, the joke is Mizzou 22, because like our food is actually good. So I think it's good. I actually eat on campus every time I go back because I like it too. Our most recent attraction here is actually the Panda Express, and I actually haven't been. Every time I go, there is a line, and I don't have time for that. So I haven't even been yet, and it's been open since August, actually. They opened it in August, so it's still very new, and I still haven't been yet. But the dining plans, there's a couple options. Currently, unless this changes in the future, the only 2 options that the plans don't work at yet are Panda Express and Sunshine Sushi, which is both are located in our student center. Everywhere else, your dining plan is good for. So it's all over campus. There's different cafes. There's all you care to eat facilities. A Mizzou market. There's a couple like non-affiliates with campus, like Panda Express. There's also Subway, Starbucks, those types of cuisines as well. And last but not least, just a couple fun things to wrap up. We are the homemakers of homecoming, so you're welcome. This is actually my favorite tradition on campus, and I think a big reason why is I actually was in marching Mizzou, so it's near and dear to my heart personally. But even before then, growing up, I absolutely love this tradition. So most high schools, I would say a lot of them probably celebrate homecoming for about a week. At Mizzou, it is at least almost the whole month of October, but actually leading up to October. So we have a homecoming steering committee created of students and of course a lot of the alumni association. But leading up to that, we are going for it. So there's a lot of different friendly competitions. There's a lot of activities. Campus is getting decorated in black and gold. And there's that fall atmosphere happening. I like a lot of the events that lead up to it until that time. So the step show is one of my favorites. There's also things like house decks. We have the largest student-run blood drive, so we're literally saving lives. But downtown businesses are decorated even with students who are competing in paint competitions. So there's some fun things that are going on, but even, it's not just about current students, it's prospective students, it's families, alums. And so there's a lot that is happening. So even if you're not participating or think you are, you're somehow involved. You're somehow, end up wearing black and gold. And that's why I love homecoming, is that everyone's involved in a way. If you're interested, we do have 20 Division I teams. We are part of the Southeastern Conference, and students can purchase a combo packet for discounted tickets. And I think this is the best way to go. You cannot get this deal anywhere else, especially as an alum, which is kind of a bummer. But if you're looking for that experience, this is probably the best part about attending a large institution, is that you can really make that big school feel small, super easy. It's a little harder to do at a small school to make it, feel big, but if you're not sure yet, you don't have to know right now. And that's the beauty of it. Another good thing about this too is that you don't have to do the whole thing. You can just do one sport or the other, but the best deal is for the whole lot, for sure. I made it my mission. I went to a super small high school. I had 35, 36 in my graduating class. So we had 3 sports. I made it my mission to go to all of the Division I sports, the club sports. And it was so much fun. I did that before I graduated. Best decision I ever made. And that was a great way to, wear that black and gold. These are your classmates. These are the people that are in your classes. So it's really important to, stay up to date on facts. What is happening next? Now, do I expect you all to memorize these dates? Absolutely not. The most important one is August 1st. That is what's coming up. And in fact, once you start this process, we are going to keep you up to date on these dates and deadlines. The easiest way to do that is to email you promptly, but you'll actually get these on what's called your application status page. That will be your login page, and these will appear as we get closer to approach these dates and deadlines. Of course, these are on our website. So we have dates and deadlines on our website, same thing as was listed before. This is my contact information. Below, I also have and want to mention, if you haven't yet done a visit to campus, or maybe you have and want to do a second, a third, you can do a fourth. There is no right or wrong way to visit. And that goes for anywhere, to be honest. We would be happy to host you on campus. And that could be for, like I said, your first, your third, your 15th visit. We do visits all year round. We can do virtual visits still. We have our virtual tour option, but we can also host Zoom visits. That could be with our office. That could also be with departments, if that's easier for you. Now, I would highly recommend you can set up your own visit, or you can call our office if that's also easier. Give us some time if you're looking to maybe see, or set up certain appointments. We have some what are called larger visit days. They're called Meet Mizzou days. Our next one is April 12th, I believe, and April 22nd. Those are our last 2 large visit days where we have an academic fair, and some other appointments in the next day. We have a couple Saturday visits. That is just an overview of Mizzou, a presentation and a tour. There is nothing else on those Saturday visits. Those are also listed on our website. But if you want something more tailored to you, I would highly recommend check out that link. And of course, you can always reach out with any additional questions. If you forget my contact, lose it, or the website, your counselors know how to reach me as well. So thank you all very much. I appreciate you spending your time watching this, and go Tigers.